I became involved in the negotiation for the contract with United Academics because of my role as Senior Vice Provost for Academic Affairs. When the original bargaining team was put together, there was a desire to have academics represented on the team, and so Tim Gleason and I fulfilled that role. Of course, there was a larger team working behind us. What I brought to the table was the academic affairs point of view, and what we quickly learned as the bargaining took place is that much of what was being bargained had to do with the academic life of faculty at this institution and how to codify that within the agreement. So I've been at the bargaining table twice. The first time, I would say, was very intense. I was new to labor relations, and so I was learning while doing. It was interesting to watch the chief bargaining people for both United Academics and for the university to see where their styles were similar and where they were different. Simultaneous to being at the bargaining table, I took advantage of my relationships with other faculty on campus who I knew had been involved in labor relations and asked them for some contextual information so that I could better understand what I was experiencing firsthand while being at the bargaining table. One of the things that, at least with the first contract, I think the bargaining was a little more oppositional than when we bargained the second contract, but even within that oppositional environment, there clearly was a desire on both sides to do what was best for the university. When we bargained the second contract, the university bargaining team was larger at that point. There were some of the same people across the table, and so there was a familiarity which I very much appreciated. And at times it actually felt like we were doing issues-based bargaining, in that we identified issues that were for the common good and what is the best way for United Academics and the university to work together on achieving progress related to those issues. Well, one of the things that was important to me and to the other people in this office was that we build a good relationship with the union. Again, we both are trying to do what's best for the institution, and the best way to do that is to work in collaboration. Last spring, we had the opportunity to present at a labor relations conference in New York City, and our panel included both people from the university administration, but also United Academics. And we talked very candidly with the audience there about what makes for a good working relationship, how do you negotiate through difficult issues, and how can you be as transparent as possible as you're working for the common good. So the advice that I would have for other institutions is, while you're not necessarily on the same side of the table, you are working for the common good, and it's important to find out where the common ground is. I've seen great changes related to the non-tenure track faculty policies here at the University of Oregon. I think one of the things I quickly learned at the bargaining table when the first contract was being bargained is that there were inconsistencies across campus, and I could understand why there was some dissatisfaction amongst the non-tenure related faculty with the working environment here. And I think that first contract made great strides in creating an environment where non-tenure track faculty could feel that they could succeed, and where there was consistency and where there was predictability about what their work life would be. I think with the second contract, we are continuing to refine that. I think also that much of what we had put in place for tenure track faculty has ultimately ended up in the collective bargaining agreement, and so it affirmed that at least for that constituent group within the university, we had processes and policies in place that were working well for them. So what the collective bargaining agreement ultimately required of all of us is to become significantly involved in policy development. And so this campus has a history of faculty governance, but the collective bargaining agreement even has amplified it beyond what we've experienced in the history of the institution by requiring faculty to engage at the local level with creating policies around internal governance, policies associated with promotion, policies associated with tenure, policies associated with professional responsibilities and the like. I know that it's been a difficult conversation in the sense that it takes a long time to work through all the intricacies of policy development, but ultimately I think that it's created an environment in which people are becoming more familiar with policy and also feel more invested in the policies that are governing their work life. One of the things when I first moved into this position, I discovered that there was not in place a faculty handbook, or at least a faculty handbook that had been updated for many years. And I think one of the other positive results of the collective bargaining agreement is we now have a faculty handbook that's available for faculty to consult with. It's not a hard copy handbook in the way that the previous handbook was, but it's very much an interactive handbook. It's we can also keep it consistently updated in an online environment, and it connects out to all those offices and units on campus which have as a mission to assist faculty in their work life. I think my vision for the future is a continuing productive relationship with United Academics for the benefit of the faculty at this institution. One of the things that I'm very pleased with is a cooperative arrangement that Academic Affairs has with the union in working with Dan Hosang to provide a mentoring program for junior faculty just coming to this institution. So Dan and I in conversations realized that this is a need on this campus. It's certainly a goal for the university for junior faculty to be able to thrive here. And it's also a goal for United Academics. And so Dan came to me with a proposal for how the union could move forward in that regard, and Academic Affairs supports that, and I anticipate that we would offer continuing support in that regard. I think that's a model for other kinds of partnerships, initiatives that could occur between United Academics and the university. I can't speculate on all that those might include, but one of the things that I'm also interested in exploring is that now that we are a unionized campus, we need to bring that into our intellectual conversations and begin to engage with that in a scholarly way. And one of the things that I've just had preliminary conversations but haven't been able to fully realize yet is how we can do that, how United Academics and the university can bring that scholarly conversation to campus about what it means to be working in a unionized environment. So I came into this position not knowing that labor relations would be a part of what my portfolio would become. I knew only about labor relations from my grandfather, who had been a member of a labor union and had talked about that. But in terms of my own professional life, I'd done very little thinking about that and had very limited experience with that. And so when I leave this position, one of the things I'm going to take away is the profound impact that engaging in this process has ultimately had on my professional life, because I've learned more about unions in a very short amount of time than I could have ever imagined, and understand the broader context in which unionization has occurred, and more specifically about what unionization means in higher education and how it can assist university administrations in creating a workplace environment in which all faculty can feel like they can thrive.